Hello YouTube, this is Charlie426 and today we have another Korean toy review. Here is the Metal Cardbot S Blastrain or Blastrain, because once again I don't think the instruction manual shows the name in English, but I believe they do kind of mention it kind of in the okay, so it's only mentioned in Korean, so this is read as Blastrain because it's the first part is blast, B-L-A-S-T, and you would think that on the back it would be train, so T-R-A-I-N, then that would mean it would have two T's in the middle, but once again that's not how this is actually read. It's Blastrain, so there's only one T, so it's B-L-A-S-T-R-A-I-N. So that's a little bit tricky name, so it was a little bit confusing for me to understand that as well. But once again, that's just the way how it is. Now, once again, here is out of the box. Now, in the box, it would be in its combined mech form. However, I wanted to show the train form first, then to show it in its middle form, and then its final combined form as well. So, yeah. So first of all, once again, this is from Metal Cardbot S. For those who don't know what Metal Cardbot S is, so it's basically season 2 of Metal Cardbot. Metal Cardbot is also another a Korean style, not Korean style, but a Korean robot animation. Let's just put it that way as well. So Metal Cardbot was successful, and they made a season 2, which was called Metal Cardbot S. And I assume there should be a season 3 because how season 2 ended. I assume, and kind of hoping as well. So hopefully we get to see season 3 and see more cool stuff as well. So the tricky part is that this is also one of those huge, a little bit on the bigger side characters, but actually came out after the animation officially ended, if I calculate the dates correctly. So yeah, a little bit odd situation, but once again, it's not uncommon when you think about how Bandai releases their stuff as well. So yeah, once again, I believe this is also designed by the same team who also designed like Rex Kaiser and stuff. So yeah, well, I could be wrong on that, but yeah, I'm just based on the information I have or heard so far. Alright, so let's look at the components. So you get the instruction manual. The instruction manual is shown only one-sided. So if you want to go back in from let's say train to mech form, then you have to kind of do like the opposite what's written. So yeah, the instruction manual is a little bit on the light side as well. So you get Blastrain himself. Blastrain is composed of 3 parts. You have the front part, which also composes middle form called Blast, and then you have the compartment parts, compartment 1 and 2, which later becomes the arms and legs of Blastrain as well, Blastrain, yeah. And then we get this. For those who don't know, this is kind of like a gimmick in the show where these robots, before they're actually captured by the main character, is that they would actually bring out in the show they would be in this card form. They're actually in the card form, and then with using these cards they would summon out their special weapons. These are very unique weapons to the character. So every time you buy a Metal Cardbot product, they will always mostly come something with this, and the weapon attached to it will be a very different thing, and they would always be folded up in a very different way, and also connects to this card in a very different way as well. So kind of cool. Here's the image of it. I believe this is I think this image might have been also used somewhere else. I can't remember, but yeah. So we'll be showing this one a little bit later, once we're in Blastrain. So that weapon is only used in its completed combined form. All right, so let me get this compartment separated. All right, so here we have 3 parts here. So let's look at the front part, which is the main guy, the Blast himself. So we have the eyes. One of the more distinctive features from the Metal Cardbot series is that when they're in vehicle form, all the vehicles have these eyes, like how the Disney Pixar Cars does their stuff. So yeah, but they don't have mouths, so don't worry about that. So here we have the eyes. Pretty cool looking design. We have some clear green plastic here, and overall pretty cool. Overall structure and feel as well, and it feels sturdy. It doesn't feel like one of those cheap Chinese, knockoff toys as well. This is very high quality as well. Now this thing does have wheels, but once again these are separate plastic wheels, so these parts with the piston designs won't work at all. They're just wheels, so you can technically roll them around as well. So yeah. And because this is a train form, there's not much to mention in terms of articulation here, so that's that. But I would like to mention that this part is actually the weapon of Blast, so this later becomes a gun. Just wanted to point that out. Alright, so here we have compartment 1, if I remember correctly. For those who don't know, how do you tell if it's compartment 1 or 2? They actually have these numbers here. So 1, and then the other one will have 2 engraved there. So that's the way how you you can figure it out as well. Once again, not much articulation here. Just once again, it can roll around, and then we have these hooks on the front and back. You have both the hook and the hole. So if you want to change like directions or like the order in terms of how this connects, you do have a little bit of control on that. One side is always going to be this as well. And another small gimmick is that you can open this part to reveal the hat of Blastrain as well. Blastrain. So basically, I don't remember seeing it too often, but once again, this helmet also works as a drone. What you have to do is you have to open up all. You do this, and then this becomes like a kind of a drone. But in the end, this becomes Blastrain's hat. So yeah, pretty cool design and gimmick. And then I do like the fact that you do have like a storage option here. Usually stuff like these in other toys would be just, you know, left around somewhere, but no, you can actually store it in here and put it in there as well. I'm gonna leave this out for now so that I don't forget about it as well. But yeah, I would say if the most part that you should be careful would be not because this isn't technically fragile, but this would be the most easiest part to break something off, if you ask me. Everything else is very sturdy. This is the part that's like that's the least sturdy, but still sturdy. So just hope you guys understand what I mean by that. So once again, it's one of those train hats that you see in locomotive like engineers or drivers of the train. So pretty cool design, if you ask me. Alright, and compartment 2 is exactly the same. The only difference is that once you open it, this one's empty. Now this is the part, technically you would store the weapon inside here of Blast. So yeah, if you don't like the gun and you just want to see the robot, you can always store the weapon inside here. So you do have a compartment right over here. Pretty cool. Alright, so once again we've seen the basics of the train. I'll be right back to see with Blast, because the transformation, once again, it's tricky to memorize, so I'll be doing it outside of camera, so I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So we transformed the front part of the train, and that makes Blast. So that's his name. So for those who've seen like YouTube clips of in Korean, you might have noticed that he originally kind of showed up as like a enemy type character. But once again, that's not because he's actually a bad guy. It's just that he had some like a circuit issue in his brain, hence acting a little bit weird. So that's mostly the case. But once again, he is technically has a funny story. So in his planet, in his original planet, once again, he was also a train, and the tricky part was that he can actually make his own rails. He can make these laser rails, and which he can ride on. Problem is, he has to stay focused all the time. If he doesn't focus or looks at somewhere else, he will always get in an accident. But after coming to Earth, he noticed that there were actual metal rails where he can just ride on. And it's all because it's on a rail system already. He can always just move with the rail as well. So he liked the peaceful moment that he can just roam around without any worries about that. So yeah, he has an interesting character, and technically in the show he has a human-sized drone that he can control and act like a human being. So yeah, he's definitely one of the more unique. He has some unique traces compared to other characters as well. Alright, so here we have the transformed version. So I brought out another typical 1:1 44 scale HG's Gunpla. So once again, here is a quick size comparison. You can definitely tell that this thing is itself, without even combined, is pretty tall compared to a typical 1:1 44 HG kit. If you compare it to maybe a 1:100 scale Gunpla kit, maybe it would follow up, or maybe be at least similar close. But once again, you can definitely tell that once you combine into his final form, it's gonna be huge. Just wanted to point that out as well. Alright, so let's do a quick articulation check on this guy as well, because once again, because this is Blast and is the form that he mostly uses before combining, and he doesn't usually use this form to go into combat most of the time. So yeah, let's see what we got. So once again, like the train form in the robot head, you still have the more human-esque eyes going on here. But once again, it's cool. It's definitely a unique trace that we don't see too often. So yeah. So it can go up that much, down that much, and then 360 twist is possible. But you can see the next joint actually followed in terms of twisting. So keep that in mind. And then the arms, once again, very nice ratchet joints, going 360, should be no problem as well. And then the shoulders can go to the side 90 degrees as well. And then there is this part, but mostly for transformation, not exactly, I wouldn't call this exactly articulation going on there. And then 360 twist is possible. Once again, definitely props to the designers and the design team. They definitely understood, like, you can clearly tell they also have experience with other brands, other toys, or other high-end or hobby level stuff as well, and they brought it to a kid's toy level. So this is going to be a huge game changer in the Korean toy market, if you ask me. And then bend wise, you do get a very nice bend, but once again, the way how these joints work, it's not exactly the best design, but still, it's really, I really appreciate that there is these type of articulation going on here as well. And then the hands are just a single molded hand, so it's just always going to be in this like holding stance, and you do have a little bit of rotation, but not 360. You kind of need to force it, or kind of, there's a little limitation, so not exactly 360, but enough, because it's mostly this red part that's blocking the way. And speaking of hands, yes, here is now that part I was talking about. So originally it looked like something like this. You open up, bring out the handle, and then you have a gun. Now I can't really remember how often he uses this, but once again, it's there and it exists, and pretty cool design if you ask me, or it kind of works, just kind of fits this guy's design as well. Okay, let me just take it out. Now keep in mind, this is not a round peg, this is a square peg, so don't try to rotate it once it's in the hand. And once again, just a quick mention, you do have these shoulder armor that can go up and down with a ratchet joint as well. But once again, not exactly articulation if you ask me. Alright, and then now for the main body, now technically you can spin it 360 like that with a ratchet joint, but the only way you're spinning is that once this back skirt is actually upwards. So yeah, once this is down, you're gonna collide with other parts. So just be careful on that aspect as well. And just a quick notice, you do have a nice ab crunch. But once again, this ab crunch is also kind of used in the transformation part. So yeah, just wanted to point that out. Alright, now looking at the legs here, we have a beautiful spread going on here onto the side with ratchet joints, and then going forward 90 degrees, or a little bit more than 90 degrees with ratchet joints as well. And you have this part like a back skirt again, so keep that in mind. And then going to the back almost 90 degrees is also possible as well. Now this thing, while it does work as a back skirt, but later in the form, a combined form, this kind of works as a locking mechanism. You'll kind of get that later as well. And then we do have actually a nice side swivel going on here, although the position is here. And then you get a very nice bend, about a 90-degree bend here. And then you have this armor flap that can rotate with ratchet joints as well. So you can definitely tell there's a lot of ratchet joints going on here as well. Okay, that was a little bit stiff. Now the feet may feel a little bit awkward in terms of articulation, but technically the only feet articulation here is the front part here as well. You do have a little bit of wiggle, so you do have a nice pivot, but it's only the front, so keep that in mind. Now the feet can move like in various ways, like can go upwards like that or going back, but these are mostly for the transformation and combination gimmicks here and there, so not technically or officially articulation if you ask me. Alright, so once again, you have very amazing amount of articulation that you don't see in the old toys, old robot toys, like even like the old stuff from like old toys from like Mini Force as well. These guys, even though these can transform into robots, they have zero articulation in certain points. Or yeah, so you can definitely tell I really respect the team that designed this, because now they're adding more articulation so that you have more play value, and it's not going to be like a standing brick at all times. So I really appreciate that as well. Alright, so we've seen the basics of Blast. Now the only thing that's left is to now combine it with these two parts, which becomes 4 technically, and those 4 parts will become the arms and legs of Blastrain as well. So the way how this works is basically you separate these 2 parts. This becomes the arm, this becomes the leg, and then you slap it on him as well. Once again, I still haven't fully memorized the transformation process, so I'm not Jobby the Hong or Gundam Holic, so I'm not the best in terms of showing this process. So once again, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So here we have all the preparations done for the combination form. So what I've did is basically Blast himself now becomes the main body of Blastrain. So you basically fold in the legs inwards, you fold up the legs, you twist the body, you fold in the arms to do something, and then you slap on the hat there, and then the rest of the compartments now separate and becomes the legs and arms here as well. So the way how this works, let's do with the legs first. They would slide in. It's more like a slide gimmick that rather than like you plug it in, it's more of a slide gimmick. So you slide it in, it locks into place. So in order to actually undo the transformation, there's actually a button that you need to press. So it does lock into place, so you don't need to worry. But at the same time, it does also release a little bit fairly easily than you think. So you don't need to worry about that as well. And just with this, it becomes much taller as well. So which I'm actually starting to have a little bit trouble filming this thing as well. So you won't most of these shots you may not be able to see the legs. So I do apologize on that part as well. But then again, I have zero idea how to take shots fully at this point with the camera, or I may need a specific camera, but who knows. And here we have the arms. There is a left and right on here, so just wanted to point that out. These are actually gigantic cannons. I just want to point that out. So once again, we have the arm, you have this part, which now can be able to be slide inside here. So all you need to do is just slide it in there. Yeah, so slide it in. Hopefully I got that right correctly. And then you do it with the other side as well, and there you go. Here we have the combined form. It becomes much tall. Just to give you guys an idea how tall is that, here is once again the same kit, the 1 to 144 scale gunpla kit. You can tell it's much bigger, and it's obviously much bigger than a master grade 1 to 100 scale as well. So this thing is big. And if it becomes big, there are some concerns with, especially that's something that combines. Most people would talk about the stability issue, and once again, I wouldn't say there is like a huge stability issue, but once again, there is a slight issue, or it's a very common thing where, because this is a combined form of multiple parts, there is going to be like one of those shaky bits or something like that, or it's sturdy, but once again, it may not feel sturdy at the same time. But anyway, let's get on to the review, and on the process, we'll finally get into this baby as well. Alright, so here we have the form. Now the beauty of this is that like some of the articulation is still there. So yeah, so this thing, despite how it looks, it's not a huge gigantic brick. So that is definitely something that we can appreciate, and yeah. Alright, so let's start with the head. Once again, I have the helmet on, or hat, depending on how you look at it. No changes there, if you ask me. It's still, because all you did is basically you just put on the hat, so the head articulation is still there. Can go down, upwards, and 360 twists as possible, but keep in mind, if you're going to do that, make sure you're grabbing on both sides, because you don't want to break anything as well, and then make sure, because this is a separate piece, you might actually twist off something as well. Alright, now the body. So now you're looking at the other side of Blastrain's body. So on the back here was the chest of Blast. So you can definitely tell how this works. And you can see this part was actually downwards. The reason for this is basically locking the waist up. Because if you don't do this, granted you are able to look like that, but that, even for human standards, looks pretty painful if you ask me. So you want to have this locked in place so that you don't accidentally move like so suddenly. So we have the train part here. The arms are actually now hidden here. Pretty well done, if you ask me. Now let's look at the actual arms of this guy. So, oh boy, yeah, you can definitely tell I'm struggling to film this guy because of the size. And actually, before we go to the arms, you might be wondering, okay, how big is this guy? Like, it can't be that big, right? I mean, sure, it's bigger than a 1 to 144 or master grade. Just to give you guys an idea, I think even when compared to Rex Kaiser, he is slightly more taller. So you can definitely tell the size of this bad boy here. Once again, Rex Kaiser S tier. S tier toy of the year for now, or up to this point. So yeah. So this guy, I would, depending on certain aspects, he could be an S or an A tier, but once again, very well made. Now let's get the arms. The way the arms work, despite how they are combined, you still get a ratchet joint of rotation here. Of course, on the process, you may actually detach this part, so just be a little bit careful as well. But once again, you still get a 360 twist articulation, and then you can go to the side about less than 90 degrees, but the fact that you have this articulation is very well made. But of course, the way how this works is that it's actually just blast shoulder armor going upwards. So if it were for the head or head design, you would technically be able to go more. And then the arms, you have a 360 twist here, and you have a bend here as well, which is amazing. I've seen a lot of Korean toys or a lot of robot toys in the past. Most of them would just skimp on this area as well, at least a few years ago. Like the best example would be Mini Force toys. They would, sure, maybe they would have this part, but once again, they wouldn't have this part, or they would only be able to bend in a certain direction. But once again, I do appreciate the fact that they put the hand in this direction, because this part actually doesn't rotate. So yeah, it's going to look less awkward and less of a brick. So very, very well done. All right. Now, one articulation that may be considered a loss would be that there is no ab crunch at this point, because keep in mind you rotated the top body, so the ab crunch will now go backwards here. So going frontwards, not so much. But once again, with a big giant toy or a big giant robot like this, I think maybe not having an ab crunch might be a little bit on the safe side. And once again, here we have the front skirt now, which was the back skirt is now in the front. So you can still move it up and down as well. And the fact that you actually, pushed in the legs to make this form. Now these parts that were on the lower legs kind of look like side skirts now. So very well done, kind of like an illusion effect. All right, and then let's see. Now the legs. Well, once again, one articulation that's going to be lost in this form, it would be the side swivel. There is no side swivel here, but there is a leg swivel, like Gundam Holic mentioned, which is, I don't know, this may feel a little bit awkward to some people, but it works. It works. So yeah, just make sure to utilize this articulation as well. And then okay, actually let's just do this first. Going forward almost 90 degrees is possible, but because it's mostly like the knee part and the front skirt like colliding with each other. So, yeah, it can almost go 90 degrees as well. And then you do get a slight bend. I'm trying to figure out if I'm doing anything wrong, but yeah, this is as far as it goes. So not exactly 90 degrees, but should be enough for this big guy as well. Oops. And keep in mind the leg spread is still ratchet joint, so you make sure to utilize those as well. And the feet, you have a very big feet which has an ankle joint that can go left and right. That's all you can do, and there's no rotation here as well. So make sure of that. All right, so once again, I love the design. I love the size here. The fact, because we don't see like train mechs too often as we used to, and the fact that this is more based on the more old style like locomotive engines instead of like the more Shinkansen style modern train. So definitely appreciate the design here as well. All right, finally, let's look at this thing. So the way how this works, you detach the card, and then in this case you detach these two parts, and then you open up individually. They may feel very stiff at the first time, because I actually had trouble opening that part of which you just saw. And you split this up and it becomes claws. Now once again, a very unconventional weapon. You would think like if this is a train mech in terms of weapon, you would think it would have a huge giant blaster or maybe a hammer, but no, this guy has claws. So once again, we have a clip joint here and a clip joint here. So all you gotta do is clip it on. And once again, this connection is also pretty strong, so you don't need to worry about these falling off anytime soon. Now I'm not sure if there is a left and right on this, because they are identical to on each side. So yeah, and now you have like these gigantic meaty claws. Like in the show, he does actually uses these claws very well. He actually uses these wirelessly at a certain battle, and then using these claws, he has this finisher move called Final Destination, which is, once again, not the best name, but I get the idea, I get the concept. And just to give you guys an idea, here's the way how the claw works. You can fold it up like this. You can open up each claw on the sides like that, and then each claw does have a bending point here, so they can all go 90 degrees like that. And on the other side like this, which once again kind of looks painful, but once again still works. So just wanted to point that out. So once again, very cool design, not based on a modern train, but more on a old school steam engine style train, and has claws as special weapons. So this is something like very unique that you don't see every day. So anyway, that was the review of Blastrain. So once again, one of the more bigger style or bigger type characters from Metal Cardbot S, because as far as I can tell in the series, they do kind of classify each character depending on their size and what they transform into. So yeah, this is one of the more bigger size characters as well. Most of them are a little bit on the smaller side than these guys, so keep that in mind. Anyway, that was pretty much it for the review. This was a review of Blastrain from Metal Cardbot S. Definitely loving design, has a ton of articulation for what it is and for its size. Once again, I have zero clue on how to get this outside of Korea because I have no information on the company that's working with these as well. Anyway, if you guys got any questions or requests, them comment below. I still have more stuff to buy and build and make reviews out, so please stay tuned. Until then, see you guys next time.